Members and guests, we appreciate everyone of you being here with us this evening. We're certainly very happy to have Justin with us this evening. He's, as you well know, is a newly elected board member, school board member to Lafayette Parish. And so him being here tonight will certainly be a team player, as he's told me many times over. And most of you know him by now, JustinCentanni, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Justin is a parent with children in public and private schools in Lafayette. He was elected to represent District 6 on Lafayette Parish School Board on November the 4th, 2014. Justin is 37 years of age. He's Assistant Vice President for Iberia Bank. Public high school graduate, he attended UL Lafayette where he met his wife, the former Marie Desarmo. They have 3 young children. The oldest 2 attended Myrtle Place Elementary and Cathedral Corner. They live in St. Street's neighborhood and are parishioners of Cathedral St. John the Evangelist. Justin holds a bachelor's degree in computer information science from Nichols State University, his hometown of Thibodaux, Louisiana, where he attended E.D. White School, High School. A gifted student, he was accepted to the Louisiana School for Math, Science, and Arts in Natchitoches, Louisiana, where he graduated in 1995, and we're happy to have him with us this evening. Thanks a lot for being here.
Let me see how this will work. There we go. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed coming to your meetings this fall and gotten a lot out of it. Listening to your speakers and the questions that your members ask at the end of them, and I'm happy to give back. I'd like to introduce Elroy Broussard as well. Thank you for being here, Elroy. Elroy's a newly elected member. Elroy was elected in District 3, correct? District 3. And he'll be joining me as a new board member on January 7th. So thanks for being here, Elroy. 2 weeks ago, I spoke with Carol on the phone, and he was fretting over who would come to speak tonight, and I made the mistake of saying, look, Carol, if you ever need somebody to speak, you just let me know. And then he calls me the next day and said, listen, I volunteered you. You're speaking on the 15th. I said, okay, all right, I'll be there. So hopefully I can say something worth listening to. I'll also be sure to get out of here in time to watch the Saints play. I know they play at 7:30 tonight. I don't know if that's as good a deal as it was 3 months ago, but at any rate, so during my campaign, one of the most frequent comments I heard was knocking on the door of a voter, and they would say, well, I don't have any children in the public school system. And my response was generally, well, the public school system impacts every facet of the community, directly or indirectly. I believe one of the most important roles of a school board member is to promote the community ownership of the Lafayette Parish school system such that everyone understands how our successes and failures impact our daily lives. Consider the impact of public education can have on the costs of government and law enforcement for a second. All of these costs are shared among all taxpayers in the parish, regardless of whether you have children in public school. High school dropouts are twice as likely to be unemployed and 3 times more likely to receive government-funded assistance. 41% of all prisoners have not completed high school compared to 18% of the population. It costs over $30,000 a year to incarcerate a person. In comparison, we spend less than $10,000 a year to educate a child. Also, graduating from high school reduces dependence on public health programs by nearly 60%. Now consider how the quality of our school system can indirectly impact the quality of life and the cost of living in Lafayette Parish. When a person or company relocates to Lafayette, they all ask the same question. It may not be first on their list, but it's definitely going to be there. How are the schools? Where am I going to educate my children? Our culture and our low cost of living are clear selling points for our parish as we experience this population growth. But we diminish the attractiveness of those options, of those factors, if our school system is not something we can point to with the same amount of pride. The Lafayette Parish School System is the largest employer in Lafayette Parish. Our 4,500 employees serve over 30,000 students on a daily basis. The financial decisions made by the school board greatly impact the residents throughout the parish. Finally, as a community, we have a moral obligation to provide for the future of Lafayette Parish. Lafayette is, as Mr. Carroll said, I'm not from Lafayette. Lafayette has opened me with welcome arms, and I look forward to giving back to Lafayette as a place that I call my home. These are the young men and women who will grow up to be our community leaders, our sons and daughters-in-law, and our neighbors. And I say all of this to make the point that each and every resident of Lafayette Parish is affected by the quality of our public education system. Even if your involvement doesn't extend past the role of taxpayer, you have a clear interest in the success of our schools. In my opinion, the easiest and most cost-effective way of building support for the school system is to engage the community such that everyone feels invested in our successes and failures. So one of the commitments I made during my campaign was to use my school board salary to hold monthly community meetings. Meetings where anyone who has an interest in the school system, doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a parent or just a taxpayer, come to the meeting, find me, and tell me what's on your mind. I want to make sure that people's concerns and needs are being addressed, and so as I walk neighborhoods and heard, I don't know who my school board member is. I've never spoken to my school board member. Show of hands, how many people have spoken to your current school board member? I'll tell you what, a school board member at any time in your life about something that concerns you.
Yeah.
And you are engaged citizens. You're the people who vote, the people who are most likely to hold your elected officials accountable. And if we hit 25% of the hands just now, I'd be surprised. And so it seemed to me that one of the issues was that the school board members, probably not from any malicious intent or anything like that, just were not available and people did not know how to get in touch with them. So I thought that it would be the easiest thing to do would be to make myself available on a set time and date once a month. I'll feed you pizza, I'll give you Cokes, I'll provide babysitters and tutors if you have children, just anything to lessen the impact on your daily life to come out and see me. Because I want to be held accountable. I don't want people to say, I don't know him, I don't know who my board member is, I don't know how to get in touch with him. I'd also like to particularly know that I'm calling these community meetings. At the first, when I first thought of the idea, I was calling them district meetings, but then it occurred to me that although they will rotate among the 5 schools in District 6, which are Myrtle Place, Lafayette Middle, S.J. Montgomery, Lafayette High, and Edgar Martin Middle School, the meetings will by no means be restricted to the residents of District 6. As I'm sure, I think Elroy and I talked about this the other night. Even though we're elected to one district, the old system of if you live in my district, you attend a school in my district no longer applies. A fine example is the Broadmoor neighborhood, where Edgar Martin is in my district, and Broadmoor Elementary is in District 8, which is represented by, or will be represented by Eric Knezing. Although the residents of my district go to Broadmoor Elementary, and the residents of District 8 go to Edgar Martin Middle School. Due to our great Schools of Choice program, the children attend schools across district lines with such frequency that a French immersion parent in Upper Lafayette or a special education parent in Youngsville will both have children in my district at Lafayette High School. So it's my conclusion that each board member effectively represents the entire parish. And it's my hope that I can encourage parents and residents from all over the parish to attend these meetings and be satisfied that the leaders of the school system are engaged and actively working to address their needs. So finally, we need to engage the community of people unattached to the school system. I've spoken a lot about parents and teachers, people who are directly affected by the school system, but the people who are unattached in the school system is a much larger population. We have over 200,000 residents of Lafayette Parish. We have 149,000 registered voters. As I mentioned earlier, we have 4,500 employees and over 30,000 students. Even with the students' parents, it's only a quarter of the total population that is directly impacted by the school system. The other 75%, I fear, don't feel that same level of ownership that we feel, that I feel, that other parents and teachers feel. And so we need to engage that community because Lafayette has a wonderful spirit of civic involvement and charity, and I feel like the school system doesn't do enough to take advantage of that. Those with the means and tendencies to donate time and money need to be engaged. They're donating their time and money elsewhere. We need to make our case so that they help out the system that impacts their lives, even though they may not believe it to be. This includes organizations such as your own, as well as business owners and private school parents. It's likely asking too much of one person to come up with a meaningful way that they can contribute all on their own. But having an entry point to the schools where someone can ask the simple question, how can I help, is a very achievable goal. One example comes from my own experience attending a parent-teacher committee meeting at my daughter's school, Myrtle Place Elementary. The principal was reviewing the lack of supplies and mentioned that they did not have nearly enough copy paper to make it through to the end of December. Nothing special, It was just copy paper that you buy at Office Depot, but it was something the school needed and something I could provide. So I found a box of paper on sale, bought it and dropped it off at the school 2 days later. And this is not to say, I don't bring up this example to say that all needs of the school system can be solved with money, but rather to say that this was an example of a need being communicated by the school system to someone in the community, and someone in the community taking it upon themselves to fill that need. So I'll finish by asking you to suggest ways that you individually or as an organization can take ownership of our school system. How can you contribute? Can you find a school in your neighborhood? Talk to the principal. Do you have a pressure washer? Can you go over there once every other month and pressure walk the sidewalks? You know, that's something very simple that takes 2 hours of your time on a Saturday morning. Can you buy paper or pencils or rulers? Can you go and trim hedges? Can you the principals have all this list of needs that either through lack of resources or for whatever reason the maintenance department can't get to it, or however the situation arises. The principals have their list of needs and they'd be happy to ask if people would ask them. So how can you do it? If it's something you and I can do on our own, like donating supplies, then we'll get to work on it immediately. But if it's an idea that requires a larger implementation, we'll determine what the appropriate response is and who we should get in touch with the school system to take care of it. If we hope to move our schools forward, we will require the support of the entire community. And the most effective way to gain that support is to engage and encourage ownership of the results. So with that, I will be happy to take questions or suggestions on how we can better support our schools and volunteer in a meaningful way and feel some ownership of the results. Thank you.
We encourage a question. Would you please come up, Larry, so we can run this, because we're getting some attention from YouTube and also
AOC.
public station.
Let the senior go first here.
Youngster go first.
It's a toss-up.
Justin, Bob, let-
JustinCentanni, I'm looking up here.
Yeah, I know. I would like to ask, I want to congratulate Delroy, of course, and Justin both on winning their races. You know, it does take a lot of time and money to run a political campaign and then to come out the winner. But my question is this: I've been going to Lafayette School Board meetings since 1952. I may have seniority because of that, I'm not sure. But I've seen the school board through many generations of going high levels of, I guess you'd call dedication, and low levels. And the question I have now to Justin is, do you feel that we now have a school board in place that puts the school children first ahead of personal interest?
I do. I know with children in the school system, that's why I ran, because I was concerned about their future in the schools with the current board in place. I think I'm a banker. We have an entrepreneur in Eric Kinesic. We have an attorney in Dawn Morris. We have a financial planner in Jeremy Hidalgo. Oh, what's your profession?
I'm in the oil field business.
Everyone's in the oil field business. I mean, we have a breadth. We have a pharmacist. Dr. Chasson's a pharmacist. We have a breadth of personal experiences that I think can be brought to bear on the issues in the school system. I think everyone wants to get in there and do the right thing. And one of the governing philosophies is we have the educators, we have the professionals that know how to run a school system, and we need to provide the resources to allow them to apply their professional expertise. And so I have high hopes for the incoming board. I think we're gonna work together very well. Thank you.
This is just to check up on priorities. A couple of years back, Joey Durrell wanted $37 million to make a boulevard out of Johnson Street, and that was voted down. We've got the airport coming up at $96 million, and that passed. That ought to be rather interesting to see how they use that. But when it comes to schools, they said it'd take $47 million to replace Lafayette High School. And then they say they have no money to replace anything, just add Butler building. Okay, where's our priorities on this? Not the boulevard. Stuck with airport now, but how about another new school? Thank you.
I said several times during the campaign, I think it's a combination of reasons why we don't have the money for new schools. One of them being that, for whatever reasons, I don't think the taxpayer trusts the school board in its current incarnation. I think they've demonstrated that repeatedly.
We spent a lot of money on legal fees, didn't we?
No, we certainly do that. And in 2011, I believe the taxpayers had the opportunity to fund a major facilities program. I think it was a 20-year property tax for $561 million, something along those lines. And it was pretty well defeated. It was really close. And so I've said repeatedly that we need to get to work building trust with the taxpayer before anybody will give the school board money. And I hope we can demonstrate that in very short order, so that we get off the front page and get back on page 5, where we belong. You know, maybe we get on the front page when Lafayette High gets recognized for being the top performing honors high school, public high school in the state, not a magnet school, but the top performing public high school in the state. That deserves to be on page 1, not we're suing this person, counter suing this person. I think teachers the other day, we were shortchanging them pay when we chose the charter high school, I think. And so there's a lot of trust that needs to be rebuilt. And I think the community will support more funding for buildings. I mean, in 2007, I believe we let a 15 mil property tax expire just because we didn't issue debt. That was all we had to do as a school board, was issue debt. And that 15 mil property tax remained on the books. And we just let it expire. And now we have to go back and label it a new tax instead of a renewal. And so that's a lot of money that we're doing without every year, which was intended to fund facilities. I have no doubt that we're wasting money in some places. I have no doubt that we could be more efficient. And that's what I hope we can do as a board is try to find how we can competently manage the resources we have, so that in 2 years or whenever is appropriate, we can go to the taxpayer and we can make a case and say, this is what we've done, this is where we've trimmed the fat, this is what we need. Because as anything in life, you get what you pay for. And I think if we can make a convincing case to the taxpayer that we will manage the money wisely, manage the resources wisely, that they'll give them to us. But not until we do it, not until we prove that.
I do want to make a comment on that same subject. I just happen to remember, I believe I stand to be corrected maybe, but we had $1 million that was spent for consultants telling us what we needed for the school system. It went on the ballot, it was defeated, but they were asking something for $1.1 billion, and they were taking down either 4 or 5 different schools, as I remember clearly. So obviously the planning was not correct. I just throw that in just the last time that this community voted for or against something concerning tax for the school, it was that defeat.
Well, I'll say this too. I think we could really benefit from a healthy dose of what's achievable instead of what we like to have. You know, like that's all well and good. I think everybody in here can look at the state of the buildings and of the school system and see that we probably do have $1.1 billion worth of work to do. Just because Lafayette High School is the same building that opened in 1952. You know, everybody who lives in Lafayette, they graduated from Lafayette High School, just about graduated from that same building right there. And so it's not a hard case to make that we need to replace these buildings, but at the same time, you know, going and asking for $1.1 billion for something everybody wants, it's still it's too much money. We got to demonstrate some competence before anybody will give that to us.
So,
Hi, Ella Arsenal. I think you're on the right track, Justin, to reaching out to the community to get them involved. By having the meetings that you want to have once a month is a great start. And there are a lot of parents and people that have come out in the community to help clean up Lafayette High and do the things that you suggested and stuff. But there's a lot of problems in the school system that's going to be hard to handle, and it's the discipline. And how do you reach parents with children who are having trouble in school with discipline and stuff? That's not an easy one. But I believe if you love them and you encourage them to be the best that they can be, parents and children, that's what we need to do. But I have a favor to ask of the school board members. Lafayette High's driveway, the horseshoe, is atrocious, and I'm begging y'all, when y'all come across a little bit of extra money, or if y'all have some asphalt that y'all use somewhere else and y'all have a little bit left over, please drop by Lafayette High and patch up that driveway. Part of it was patched up last year, I believe. That's the only part that is holding up really well. Oh my God, it's very bad. And look, I'm not asking selfishly for me. This is my last year in the school system. I have no more children that are going to be going through the public system. So I'm asking for other people in my community to have a driveway that they don't have to bust a tire on. Thank you, and good luck.
Still impacted. Yeah, sure. I'll go do it myself.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a small job.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to ask a question. If you would, Mike?
Yeah.
He has a thought or two, I've heard.
Just a thought. Thank you. Justin, you mentioned several times about this magic list, I guess, of from the principals, of things that the people, the parents can give out. I had a couple of kids in the school system that's a long time ago, and I've seen a lot of things talked about. We had the mentoring program we used to have, businesses, and I know media got involved and individuals got involved. You see those things pop up, and they may even still be there, but you don't really hear about them anymore. It's like anything else. If it works, you sort of go ahead and let it happen, and the newspaper or the TV or whatever, it doesn't always report the good things that are happening. But anyway, I don't mean to ramble here. It's just that we've got things that have happened and been successful. But as a parent, I remember that the big thing is that we never had that list you're talking about. We never saw that list that you were talking about. I even had occurrence when I was involved in Cub Scouting where we would use the school for our meetings. And we wanted to, at night, you really couldn't see where to park. And we talked to the principal about the group, the parents were willing to fund the lighting. And the principal came to, well, no, you don't need to do that. All I needed to know is you needed the lighting, and I'll just put in to the school board to get the lighting in. Well, the aggravation factor there is that we wanted to do something, and we were denied the ability to do it. And then the second part of that is that, well, why didn't you ask for this? And why did we have to ask for it? Why didn't you go ahead and do this before? So again, the point there is that principals, there's some of them that are really concerned about the facilities, and some of them that are not. Some of them are concerned about their teachers, and some are not. Everybody has their agenda. Is there some way that the school board can work to focus on these different aspects of it? And I mean in case of letting the people and the parents know what they can do and what they can. They do a real good job of sending out these little notices before school now to let the Walmarts is full of them. The parents walk in and they have to make a donation, to the teachers and all these things. Turned into it from a donation thing to a you got to do it type of deal. I just would like to see, and I hope that the school board in some form or fashion can get the word out to the parents. These are the things we need, that we'd like to see done. A wish list, I guess. Some things are never going to happen, but other times if people really knew, like that paper you talked about, you had to go to a meeting to find out about the need for that paper. We got people who don't make those meetings. But if they knew about the need for the paper, they would probably shell out that, either give them the money for it or just go buy the paper, like you said. Anyway, that's my nickel.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, I kind of wish I'd given them the money for it because those boxes of paper are like 60 pounds. I hoofed that thing in from the street, and it was heavy. But I totally agree with you, and it's like anything in life. There are going to be some people who are engaged on lighting or grass or hedges or fencing or something like that. There will be some that are focused on the interior of the school where the students are. You know, my main point was there's very likely every principal in the system has some little tiny thing that you could do right now if you chose, and it doesn't have to be a school in Youngsville if you live in Carington. There's 5 schools in District 2. There's schools all over the place. I know in Broadmoor we got 2, as I mentioned. The Lafayette Middle's right behind my house. You know, there's a school in your neighborhood that you could, not even saying go adopt it, but I think after you do a good deed and see how happy it makes the people in the school, that you'll find, well, I could buy a box of paper once every 3 months, or whatever, you know, whatever they need. They need pencils next month or paper this month. It's an example, but I think I'm just trying to encourage that same spirit of what can I do, what is within my ability to do it, and how do I find out what that is.
Tell them where you are.
Carol, there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can y'all
Oh,
hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Through the microphone?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
I'm asking because I don't hear a lot
I
of
don't
you
hear
because
you.
I don't hear well. And sometimes I don't think the microphone is projecting to me and some of us who have a little bit of a hearing problem. My name is Jackie LeBlanc Justin and Elroy, and I think the rest of you probably know me, if not by name, by face. My question to you, maybe it's not a question. I want to know if the NP Moss School that is taking care of the wayward boys and girls is worth it. I want to know, I read something about perhaps sending those schools, those children, and merging them into the regular curriculum. Having school teachers within my family, I'm sure they would not like that. They would not like to have those children merged into their school. But do these children graduate from the NP Moss School? Do they graduate from the Wayward Children's School? Do they graduate? No. Or maybe y'all will find that out when you go there. You can dig into it a little bit more. You probably don't know. But I was there one day when a child was pulled out of the classroom and a policeman, or whoever they are, was there, and the kid was crying. And he said, "No, I don't want to go home. No, I don't want to go home." I said, "You want to go home?" No, I don't want to go home. He did not want to go home. He wanted to stay in school. So I don't know what the procedure is over there. But I'm hoping that they are getting a good education. I'm hoping that they are excited about going to school and that they have projects that keep them interested in school, like plays and like speech department and being involved in the curriculum. So, and how many students did you say are in the parish in public school?
30,000.
30,000. And we have how many employees?
4,500.
4,500? Okay. Thank you very much. That's my speech for the night.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if I am qualified to comment on the effectiveness of the NP Moss School.
I didn't think you probably would because it's new.
No, but like I said, we have the professional educators, we have the experts employed in the system, and you know, if they come to us and say it's worth it, then I'm going to take their word for it. And if they come to us and say, we want to change something that's not working out the way we intended, here's what we want to change, well, I'm going to take their word for that as well.
May I just add this?
Sure.
Do you have any idea how many of those students from that school end up going to a halfway house or wherever
It's called
the
preparatory.
detention?
I do not, but I can find out for you.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how effective it really is.
And this will end up being a lot of my responses at the community meetings, I think, is I can certainly find that out for you because I think Elroy will agree. We're the community link. If somebody has a question or a need or something like that, we're probably not going to be able to resolve it right there on the spot, but I'll be sure to find out and get back with you on that.
And may I say, if it's not effective that way, that they're not becoming good citizens, then we're not headed in the right direction. I'm all for the school, very definitely, but I want them to be taught effectively, and I want them to understand Americanism, patriotism, and stand up when the flag goes by. Be good Americans.
I will find out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Absolutely. Let's get some fire under them.
Miss Jackie, were you asking about NPMOS having all those programs to help the kids be patriotic and all that? I didn't work with all the kids at NPMOS. I did visit the elementary classroom that had first graders and second graders, and it's a rough crowd. I can't lie to you, it's a very rough crowd at that age. The teacher is an awesome teacher, and she tries her best, and she has the patience of a saint. The children are very disrespectful and very disruptive.
Well, I mean, I say if they're bad at that age,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
are they when they get up further down the line?
I think there is a need for NPMOS. If they're not at NPMOS, they're in our home schools and stuff. And I'd rather there be a special school to put these kids, and they do need special help, counseling, and guidance at this NPMOS school. There's a lot of tweaking, in my opinion, that needs to be done, but they are working very hard at that school to help these children. And from the budget meeting that they just had at the school board office, they cut 2 teachers from NPMOS. And personally, I don't understand why. Because if you're going to keep teachers anywhere, that is one of the schools that you need the teachers, because the children are there because they are a handful. And you know, there's a lot of tweaking that needs to be done at the school, but they are trying really hard though to help our children. Maybe you can visit the school and volunteer sometime, just observe a class or speak to the principal. She's been very open and honest about her school and stuff and their needs and what they're trying to do to help the children. And she seems to love the children, and that's a big step in the right direction. But some work needs to be done.
Thank you, Ellen.
I was going to ask him to come up, and he's volunteered on his own, but he was definitely going to have to be at the end of the program. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a presentation. We want your opinion and where you are. And hopefully that you give us some good ideas as to what we can do to help improve our community.
Thank you. As mentioned, my name is Elroy Broussard. I'm newly elected school board representative from District 3, and thank you for the invite. And thank you, Justin, for these words that you said, what we will try to do once we are seated. To answer the question about the NPMOS preparatory school, the idea of it was to get those youngsters back on track, to go back to their respective schools and continue their education. It's not supposed to be a long-term process, short-term. Instead of expelling them, they go into the school. every plan you put together should be a 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C. A is perfect. We put the youngsters in school. We teach them what they're supposed to be taught. We educate them. Go back to their school. If the first plan doesn't work, you put the second plan in to correct whatever went wrong. The third plan is that everything went wrong, we need to start all over again. Maybe that's where we have to start all over again. Like Ella said, things could be tweaked. We need a lot of help. We want to work toward the ultimate goal. When most of us went to school, we didn't have a police officer. The ultimate goal is to not have a police officer. Ultimate goal. Ultimate goal for the NP Moss Preparatory School is not to exist. Filter the kids in the school they were supposed to attend. Unfortunately, like Justin said, years ago, the kids in our district all went to the same school. It's not that case anymore. I think in my district, I have 10 to 12 schools that my kids go to. So I've got to go to all those schools, find out the needs of every student, and try to get them back on track, which is a very difficult job. So our job, when people say congratulations for the election, on the other hand, they say condolences as well. But we've got a new school board group, and we're all about to work together to try to make this positive. And Mr. Board, what somebody said, we passed a tax, an airport tax, and I asked one of my constituents, why did we pass an airport tax when most of us don't ride the plane? But it's difficult to pass a tax for education. Oh, we don't want to do that. But think about it. Think about it. It's mind-boggling that we do that. And we need the money. If next couple of years, if we don't get it right, we have to start closing doors. And when the students are busting through the seams now, we won't do our job effectively. So I'm not going to take away from Justin. This is his night, and I'm happy to be here. And I too will be holding meetings, not only in my district, but anywhere I can, because we need ideas, we need support. We need someone to say to us, this is what we want to do, not what I want to do. This is what we need to do to make this successful. Because we are a great parish, we're a great city. We are just as gifted as everybody else. We live differently. That doesn't mean we are challenged in any way. We just live differently. And we can achieve any goal that we want to achieve. But we've got to work together as a group, and I think this new board is going to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Elroy. We're looking forward to this year's services by you guys. We have another young lady just walked in. She was at our last meeting, and we certainly want her to come up and give it, because I know you got some great ideas, and we want some of the people to get to know who you are. Mary Morrison, please come up. District 1.
Thanks for having me. I just got off of work. I worked till 7 on Monday night, so I'm on my way back home. But anyway, yes, I have a whole lot of ideas, a lot of things I've already kind of, brought it out there to see exactly what we can do. I'm just kind of waiting, until we actually are, installed and ready and working, just to see what the rules and regulations are, especially with our facilities and funding, and like Elroy said, about a tax. I'm looking at formulating a community foundation for each district, and looking at how we can do that and have the community business donate to the schools and to the foundation, will kind of help us with maybe some minor fixings at the school. So that's the kind of things I'm looking at. Visited all my schools, met with all my principals, and I'm not sure what Justin talked about, but we met with a bunch of teachers looking at their concerns about, what is their main concern, and I was surprised, and their main concern in the classroom is discipline. So we're looking at, how we make sure that they follow through with the procedures. If it's calling the parents and making sure that we call the parents so that they can assist them with the discipline issues. Because looks like the principals, they really don't have time to deal with 150 bad students. So, and then the teachers are busy, and where do they find time to call 50 parents about kids that are misbehaving? So we have to look creatively how we're going to implement the discipline policies and make sure our teachers not spending time trying to discipline our students when they could be teaching them. So lots and lots of things. I'm really excited about getting started with the new board. I think we got a good group of people that's really passionate about what we're doing, and we're going to work together as a group to move our school parish forward, and I think we're going to do a good job and overcome some of these challenges, that I know there are going to be some cuts. Some people have found out. In fact, I just got an email from someone from Carrico High that they found out that they were going to be, a couple of people were going to be cut. So things like that we have to go through, that everybody needs their job. Like I said, I just got back from work. I have to work, so do they. So hopefully we won't have to, lose too many of our teachers where it'll really affect our kids' learning in the classroom. And hopefully we can spend our money better, look at the budget, and Justin's real good about money.
I definitely talked about that.
He's supposed to be our money man right there. So, yeah, so we're going to look at how we could revise the budget and making sure that we're all balanced and everybody has what they need, and not cut into the classrooms, and make sure we give our teachers what they need to educate our children. So anyway, I'm happy to be a part of it, and I was happy I was able to stop by. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mary. We have another question, sure.
District 1.
And I shouldn't be making him wait, because he's the guy that does all the filming for us, and I need to treat him pretty nice, because we do get the word out. Even the Daily Advertiser, don't do a whole lot for us. I'd like for you to tell them what you do besides your question, if you will. Mr. Ed Gocheck.
Hi, my name's Ed. I think I know most of you. Basically, right now we're filming. I do a little bit of editing at the house. Takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours once I get the film into the computer. And then I distribute it to AOC, and of late we've started our own channel on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you put in at the top of the search engine, Concerned Citizens for Good Government, you're going to get into our channel, and in there's I think 6 or 7 videos that we now have in there from past speakers. I think it started with Harold Scheffler, if you remember, a while back, a few months back, we started with him. So that's, my part in it. That arguing with Carol about who would get in next, and silly little suggestions I can make. I like to live with mischievousness, so anything that pops in my head, I kind of just toss it again. I do have a question for you gentlemen that I hope is answerable. I know you're new, all the newly elected members, and I know you haven't had a chance really to kind of bite your teeth in it and having a real effect. However, I know that were I elected, I would be kind of generating little ideas and philosophies in my head about how we're going to select the next superintendent. The obvious elephant in the room there. And I would just kind of like to know, if you guys don't mind, just step up here and give us some of your thoughts. Let us into your thinking. And the other question I had was discipline. I used to be a school teacher for 31 years. And there was good times and bad times over discipline. It made a huge effect in the classroom. So I would also like to know your particular thinking on that topic. Thanks.
Well, I'll give my answer. I'm not going to hold Elroy and Mary to it. I know they probably didn't come prepared to answer questions. I think hiring a superintendent is going to be the most important thing we do. And I met with Brunel Lejeune, our interim superintendent, a week and a half ago, and was very, very impressed with him. I've yet to find anybody who has a bad word to say about him, both in his administration, his days in the classroom, his days he's been in charge of the schools of choice. for several years now. And this is a love him or hate him, a marked departure from Dr. Cooper. So it's very refreshing to know that we have somebody in place that I feel like if we need to take some time to get our next superintendent hire right, we have that luxury. Be it 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever it is. I think we have that luxury, and I think it's important that we take as much time as we feel we need to make sure that we hire the correct person, because it's superintendents leave all the time in Lafayette Parish, and for whatever reason it is, it's not always the school board's fault, but for whatever reason it is, just like we have a teacher retention problem, we have a superintendent retention problem. And it's not good to constantly be changing ships every 3 years. The continuity in a situation like that is not good. So, discipline. This will be a lot of my answers on school board matters, especially when it comes to in-school and educational topics. It's going to be, what does the superintendent say? What does the superintendent say we need to do to make this right? And so I'll profess I don't know what the right answer is on discipline. I was at that meeting that Mary mentioned where teachers brought it up that discipline was a big problem in their day-to-day life. And so we definitely want to bring that up with the superintendent. It's one of the questions that would be appropriate to ask in an interview process. How do you feel about discipline? What is your plan to handle today's kid who is different from when I was in high school and different from when you were in high school? And so that's the way I would approach that. Howard?
Discipline is certainly an issue that we've got in our school system. Several years ago, I went to the Head Start program, the kindergarten program. All of the kids were lined up, walking hand to hand, not saying a word, going to lunch. So I asked the principal, where did we lose them from kindergarten to middle school? What happened in that time to where we lost our kids? Well, she didn't have the answer, nor do I. But we need to start working on discipline at the very early age. We cannot, should not allow these youngsters to do what they want to do. We have got to go in and educate mom and dad so they can educate little Junior and the daughter. We've got to go into the household one by one and say, Mom, Dad, this is what you need to do. We're going to help you to achieve your goal. You have got to achieve your goal in order for your child to achieve their goal. In hiring a superintendent, we really need to, we have dropped the ball. I know we had 4 or 5 the last 10 years or something, so we got a bad record. We've got a bad record. I don't know if I would want to submit my application knowing that it's not a lifetime job, it's not for any long period of time. But we need to look at someone who understands our needs, our wants, our goals. And we should state that. This is where we want to be. We've got a very, very, very unique culture. We need to understand that. Our goal is education, and we can achieve that just as good as New York, California, or any place else that have goals. Take what we need to do and curtail it to what we want. We don't need to follow New York's rules, California rules, Florida's rules. Everybody develops something that's working for them. We need to explain to the superintendent our goal, and your goal should be the same. Education, discipline. We need to build schools. By the way, I was part of that committee that was in search of trying to find some money. So I think we met for about 6-7 months on that wish list. Every school had a wish list. And because we felt that we wouldn't be able to sell it, we put it on the back burner. But it is a wish list out there, and it's a very big book. And maybe we'll put it back on the table next year or something and revisit that. But that's my take on the superintendent. We need to find someone, look at the criteria, what is necessary, and we really need to make sure that we hire someone for the long term, because it's going to take some time to do this. We can't come in, you can't let somebody come in for a year, 2 years, and then we look for somebody else. Everyone that has come in said the last superintendent done something wrong. Every time, every 2 years, the last one done this wrong, we need to do this. We hire another one. If it's not Brunel Lejeune done this wrong. So we really need to set a criteria, or we need to set a criteria for the superintendent to follow. This is what we need. Thank you.
On the superintendent, I think, of course, superintendent should have all the attributes that we just talked about, someone that's passionate about education, someone who understands our community, who we are. I think somebody that's kind of rooted in our community, and I think if it's someone close to our community, they will be more eager to stay and understand us. Not that I'm all against hiring someone from out of state, but I think that we could probably, look for, local, just have that in mind, that someone local that have been proven to be effective in the school system and have spent a long term on a project and have accomplished things within the school system, so we can look at and see, well, this person came in and he did this, and that, and he's been a part of this system for a long time. Those types of things may help us keep a superintendent for the long term. As it pertains to discipline, I think definitely getting with the parents and hoping that they can assist us with discipline. I remember going to school way back in the days, and if the teacher called my mom about my brother misbehaving, before he could even explain anything, she says, "Don't say a word." The teacher's too busy to stop what she's doing to call me if you did not do anything. Tell me what you did, and you best not do it again. And, we didn't want anybody calling the house because we get 2 whippings. We get one at school or one, and one at the house. So I think having the parents on board, making those phone calls, I know we're busy, the teachers are busy, but make those phone calls, make those connections with the parents to assist us with discipline. Because most of them will listen to their parents, their mom and dad. But they have to know they're misbehaving. And if the phone calls are not being made, that means that they don't know about it. So 4 or 5 days go by, and one student sees one child misbehaving, and he'll say, well, nothing happened to that student. So guess what? Well, maybe I can do it and get away with it as well. So I think following through with the procedures, making those phone calls, and really sticking to a system will help us see an improvement in discipline. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. How many minutes do we have there? Another? 3. Well, yeah, is there any other question that maybe you'd like to ask of the 3 members that are sitting here this evening? And certainly give a little bit more time to closing comments and summation if you would do that for us. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think it's very important for us to all get out into the community and hear from people that are concerned and engaged, such as yourself. It does us no good to go to meetings and vote on things and then go home and not talk to anyone. So we can't do this ourselves, which is the point. We can't do it ourselves. We're going to ask for help at some point. We're probably going to ask for money. But in the meantime, we're going to ask for your time and your volunteering in the school system in any way that you can. If you are a banker, know about finance, maybe there's a student organization that needs a sponsor. It's just an idea. There are lots of ways that you can contribute. So any way that you come up with, let me know, and we'll be happy to find a way for you to help. Thank you.
I just want to announce that our potential speaker for next time, she is in the school system, and maybe some of you may know her, Paula Begno. she as a possible speaker for the first Monday in January. And she's dealing with a lot of problem children and so forth. Has been teaching for 41 years. She's still at it and seems like doing a great job. But anyhow, being that we started off the year, and may I just mention this, that this organization was organized 28 years ago, and our first most important thing in prioritizing why we were even doing this. Education was the first thing on the list, with other things that were necessary: economic development, the environment, and government. Government probably should be maybe second because it plays such a great part anywhere from municipal government to DC, has some kind of an effect on all of us as Americans. So anyhow, we've been able to have different speakers come on those subjects, but education is obviously this past 2 years or 3 years now, almost, has been a very hot subject. So hopefully we can make a difference, and the people that have been elected will do a good job. I want to thank all three of y'all for being here with us this evening, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the table there on Chaplain Drive. Thank you very much.
Because you did it.